and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name is Colette and I am jumping on here today to do a quick video for the very rare phenomenon that has taken place in the sky earlier today. I was doing a write-up about it and I kind of felt as though I needed to actually put this into a video as well so that more people could understand what's going on at this time. So I have written it up and I am going to be reading from what I have written, and I'm calling this the inversion of the pyramid because that's what I was told to call it while I was writing this up, and it kind of seems a bit like a jumping off point in a way. It's almost like this is the reversal of what's been going on for the last however many kind of centuries we've been living through. So this pyramid basically is the pyramid of the power at the top and the people at the bottom, and the grassroots being the structure that has kept the people at the top in their positions. And it's actually today, and we have been experiencing this for quite some time actually, since about the 27th of August, a grand air trine. But today we also have what's known as the mystical triangle, sorry, not mystical triangle, mystical rectangle. And we also have 3 kites of destiny today as well. So it is a really powerful day when it comes to patterns in the sky and the things that are taking place because of these patterns in the sky, and the meanings behind them, and the planets that are involved, the energies that are involved in it as well. It's all very, very powerful, intense energy that we are experiencing. So what's in a day? And in this particular one, it turns out there's a heck of a lot. This day is the 1st of October. And on this day, today, we are going to experience what to my mind is an incredibly beyond rare phenomena, as the grand air trine is also going to be creating 3 separate kite patterns. So on each side of that grand air trine, we have kite patterns happening as well, and they take place due to sextile energy. So you've got the grand air trine, and then from each side of that there is an opposition as well, but I will go into that in more detail. So 3 separate kite patterns on each side of this triangle, but what's even more unusual and exciting, however, is the mystical rectangle. This is a pattern that is not often seen, as it involves 4 planets or points, 2 of which are both in opposition to each other. So at this time we have Mars at 10 degrees 44 minutes in Libra, exact opposition with Chiron at 10 degrees 44 minutes retrograde in Aries. Interestingly, as the Sun at 10 degrees is so close to Mars, he is also a major part of this configuration, as is Make, who is at 7 degrees 22 in Libra. So that's a trio of very masculine energy, all trining this Chiron energy, the wounded healer energy in Aries. And Chiron's been working its way through Aries and will continue to work its way through Aries over the next few years to come as well. And it's kind of healing the wounded soldier, or the wounded warrior, shall we say, within us, whether that is masculine or the feminine. It's healing that masculine side that we all have, and which has kind of been portrayed in a very kind of particular style and fashion for a long time. So there's a deep kind of healing of that energy, the masculine energy, and also the kind of the ego that goes along with that as well, because Aries being the first sign is also the ego side of ourselves. So the other exact opposition with this mystical rectangle is the moon, which is at 6 degrees 57 in Leo, and Saturn at 6 degrees 57 in Aquarius. And this is all taking place within the matter of a very short space of time, like over an hour or so, a couple of hours maybe. Although the actual mystical rectangle will last longer, the actual oppositions are so closely, they're so tight that it's going to happen in a very short space of time. So all 4 points of these two oppositions are then making trines to the same element. So the moon trines Chiron, which are both fire signs, Leo, moon in Leo, Chiron in Aries, both fire signs, and Saturn is trining Mars, the Sun, and Make, which are all in air signs, Libra and Aquarius. This, though, does not go all the way to creating a mystical rectangle. For that, we also need sextiles, and that is precisely what we have. With the moon sextile to Mars, the Sun, and Make, and Chiron sextile Saturn, making up the shorter sides of this mystical rectangle. So we have the short, like the size of the rectangle. We've got the long point of the rectangle, and the short two sides of the rectangle are the sextile energies that are happening here as well. So the longer sides are being made up by the trine energy between Saturn, between Aquarius and Libra, and the fire energy between Aries and the moon, or Aries and Leo, sorry, should I say. And then the moon is sextile the trio in Libra, and Chiron is sextile Saturn. So it's all kind of the same planets, the same energies that are kind of repeating, which is very interesting. So what is it that makes this pattern in the sky a special and mystical pattern? If you take a close look at it, you will see it looks a lot like an envelope. So with this rectangle, because there's these two oppositions from these 2 points, it literally has like a cross going through it. So it does look like an envelope that needs to be opened up. And it is said this is a sign of something being delivered. So it's like an envelope, it's like a gift, it's like something that is being delivered to us that has a huge amount of talent or potential within it. I see it as a letter that contains really good news that has yet to be unsealed and become known. It is also said that because of this, it is protected, because it's not open, it's this energy within it is a protected energy. So the moon is our soul and our emotions. Here in Leo, she is in a supportive aspect with both the masculine and fiery dynamic action-driven energy of Mars and the Sun, as well as the higher vibrational universal law and order energy of Make. While she just happens to be sitting in the home sign of her masculine counterpart in Leo. Sun rules Leo. So both Mars and the Sun are giving us courage to stand strong in our emotions. Come from the heart and be honest and passionate about what we are feeling. With Make there as well, there will also be a need for justice, fairness, honesty being weighed up by the scales. This is going to be a time of strong, pure and heartfelt emotion that we won't be able to hold back, as we are going to be called to make a stand against this opposing, limiting, controlling, draconian energy of Saturn in Aquarius, who we are mostly dealing with from a lower vibrational hive mind mentality. Saturn, of course, is also the Lord of Karma as well. So at this time, it is like there's a lot of karmic energies all coming together, a lot of kind of karmic past experiences that need to be worked out and worked through at this time, which is why everything is as crazy and mad as it is right now. Saturn is in Aquarius, is in the sign of the collective, so it's the collective karma as well, not just individual karma, but it is also our own individual karma as well as the collective karma. So there is a lot that is going on underneath all of this at this time. And of course, Saturn is also in this connection with Makemake. As I said in my previous video as well, for the full moon in Pisces, that Makemake is the universal energy, the universal law, if you like universal laws that are always there. They're universal, they're kind of a higher vibrational energy that you can't change. Whereas Saturn is very much about the man-made laws, rules, regulations, which aren't so much laws as they are kind of like a legal notice, if you like. So more to do with kind of man-made ideas of what we can and can't do, rather than the universal laws, which are much bigger laws. So there's a lot of changes going on that scale as well. It's like people kind of realizing that the man-made laws are not necessarily helping us. They're much more a hindrance, and people are turning more and more back to this idea of what's known as common law. I prefer to call it universal law, because that's kind of where these laws come from. So at this time there's going to be a lot more challenges to that system as well. So Saturn is in fact pushing us to become true to ourselves through the adversity we are suffering. We are being forced to awaken to the rules, regulations and restrictions that are ultimately not for our benefit. We need to be aware that Saturn is a hard taskmaster and works on man-made rules, but Makemake is showing us the difference between those and those of a higher frequency of the law of one, of love. And I feel this as a mother and father's love of protection for their child, because of the sun energy and the moon energy being involved in this mystical rectangle as well. Especially as the moon is in Leo, so she's in that very strong, protective, courageous kind of energy of Leo. And she's very much supported by the sun at this time. And it feels like the lion is kind of starting to really want to roar here. It's like emotionally the need to express is going to become very raw in itself, as in R-A-W rather than R-O-A-R. But it's like the two of them are going to be combined. So there's going to be a lot of real kind of heartfelt, raw energy, emotional energy that is going to come from the heart, particularly at this time because of what is happening within the family units and with children in particular. So supporting Saturn in Aquarius with this lesson of higher knowledge is Chiron from Aries, with the second sextile in this mystical rectangle, implying a powerful healing is also being undergone through the collective energy at this time, especially as Chiron is also one of the opposing energies with the Sun, Mars and Makemake. Something very powerful, deep-rooted, karmically on an individual, personal as well as the collective is going through a huge purging and healing at this time. like I said, it feels like a collective karmic point of destiny, like destination, like we can't escape this. This is something that we have to experience. So added to all of this energy of this mystical rectangle and all those planets and energies that are involved, we have 3 kite energies. As each part of that grand air trine, which is about communication and learning, information, passing it forward and sharing knowledge from the side of the people's collective energies. So we, the people, are going to want to share what we learn, what we know, what we are beginning to understand, to kind of, it almost like the more we share it, the more it grows, the more we can kind of understand it ourselves, get feedback, and help us to understand things on a bigger level. And so that's what's happening from the side of the people, while on the side of the establishment, it will be in its lower vibration, about gathering data and trying to force passports on us for yet more control. So on one side of this triangle, where we have Black Moon Lilith and the North Node trying to Saturn, we have the kite pattern being formed by the 2 sextiles connecting them both to Chiron, which is the head. So I'm just going to go back over that again. So one side of this triangle, so we've got 3 sides obviously, we have Black Moon Lilith and the North Node trying to Saturn, and we have the kite pattern being formed by the 2 sextiles connecting them both to Chiron. So Chiron is so Chiron is opposite Mars and the Sun and Makemake. And here you've got Saturn, and here you've got Black Moon Lilith and the North Node. So they are both part of that grand trine energy, but they're also sextile, making that kind of sextile 60-degree angle to Chiron as well. So that's where all the energy is focused at this time. With the Mars, Sun and Makemake energy with opposing Chiron, the energy is going to be going backwards and forwards, because that's what an opposition does. But because it's a kite as well, it's kind of like really pushing that energy into that head point. So it's very much kind of centered in that healing energy at this time, very much again around the masculine as well. And it's interesting that opposing Chiron, we have all that masculine energy of Mars and the Sun and Makemake. And then we also have Saturn as well, part of that energy too. That's another very masculine dominating kind of energy. So that is very all of that energy is kind of involved. And then on the outskirts of that we have the North Node and the Black Moon Lilith. The North Node of course being the karmic destination point where we're heading. It's all in Gemini, which is another interesting thing as well, because the Gemini energy, and also just the trine energy as well, the whole grand air trine thing that's going on at this time and has been for quite some time, it's all very much connected, it seems to me, around paper and kind of how important pieces of paper are at this time. And that is very much a kind of Gemini thing, because Gemini is very much communication, writing. Everything was written down, like previously, before we had like phones to text and typewriters or any of that stuff. Everything would have been written. It was all letters and just forms of that kind of communication. So everything kind of involved pieces of paper. And it's very interesting at this time, because we have on the one side with the governments trying to push these pieces of paper on us, and then on another level elsewhere in America, for instance, there's pieces of paper that are being recounted, shall we say. Don't want to go too much into that, but that again is the importance of pieces of paper. It's like, how important are these pieces of paper? And also, if you want to take it to another level as well, it's like, you know, money itself has been created from pieces of paper, because the pieces of paper that we now have as our monetary system were once the receipts or the bills for the gold and the silver that were deposited into actual banks and banking. So we would be given these pieces of paper to say how much we had. And now these pieces of paper that have absolutely really no value have become more the like the monetary side of things, which is interesting, because also Uranus in Taurus is connecting with the moon at this time as well. Sextile. No, sorry, square. Uranus is square the moon, so there is this kind of challenging, emotional challenging energy around our values and our value system as well. Uranus wants to change all these things, and the moon, we have this kind of emotional attachment to things that have been in our life for a long time. So change can be difficult, even if it can maybe be for the better. We still like to hold on to things that we know. That's very Taurian. Tauruses like their familiarity. They like to know what's coming. And being a fixed sign, they like to keep things as kind of predictable, shall we say, as possible. But I've kind of gone off track a little bit there, so I'm going to try and get back into the place where I was just coming from. Okay, so the kite energy. So this whole kind of healing process which is taking place feels like a huge shifting, like healing energy of our old patterns, our karmic debts being paid off. Also those of our ancestral heritage, as well as the relationships of our past generations that have brought us as a human race to where we are today. So it's our ancestral and generational kind of bloodlines, if you like, the reason where we are today at any singular point in our lives. Like if you were to think right now, how did I get to where I am? You've also got to include, if you like, the previous generations that have come behind us. And it feels that this Chiron energy and Saturn energy and all of that is really big, major, like shifting and clearing and healing all of that in order for us to be able to kind of move forward with new clarity on our individual choices. You know, what's going to always affect the collective, and it's like ripples moving away from us as we move into this new level of understanding of our own innate need for emotional health and growth, and the vibration within each of us that's creating that wholeness, that is coming from within us. Our vibrational energy that we put out there is creating that whole kind of karmic collective, if you like. And if we look back over our history, whether it's ancestral or generational, or for some people who believe in reincarnation as well, it could be our own personal karmic debts that we are paying off. History is full of violence. It's full of kind of very, again, raw is a word that keeps coming up at this time. Very raw, violent, bloody, like people dying on battlefields and you know, fighting for more land and countries and all that kind of thing. You know, it's kind of our history, if we look back on it, is very, very aggressive. We come from a very aggressive past energy, and we're kind of having to clear that out in order to be able to move beyond beyond that, beyond where we've been. So especially again, as this is coming from this higher frequency of Make, who is conjunct both the strong masculine energies, and he's also creating this seesaw energy with the first sign of the zodiac, with Aries, the ruler of fiery, passionate, determined Mars as well. So Make, that higher universal frequency of universal love and compassion and unconditional love as well, is kind of in there, in that mix of very masculine kind of energy. It's almost like putting a kind of more of a spiritual, like warrior energy into it, but a spiritual warrior on the level of it being more about peace and achievement on a less physical, domineering way, is how it's coming through. So the second kite pattern that we have involves the energies of Black Moon Lilith and the North Node again, but this time they are trine the same energies of the trio in Libra, Make, Mars and the Divine Masculine. So the point or head of this kite is the moon. So what we have is the trine energy going from Black Moon Lilith across to the Libra energy. So we've got Gemini trining over to Libra, and then both of those energies are connecting in a sextile. This time it's pointing downwards, so I'm doing it like this. A sextile with the moon, while the moon is also opposing Saturn, so that is also creating that kite energy. Of course, the grand air trine is all, both of those, like Black Moon Lilith and the trio in Libra, are connecting to the Saturn energy as well. So again, it's kind of the same energies coming out over and over again, which is very interesting. So the point or head of this kite is the moon connected to the trio in Libra by one sextile and her own North Node, and the point where the moon is furthest away from our Earth, that is Black Moon Lilith, being in the other sextile. So the Black Moon Lilith energy is still, it's that righteous rage energy, it's that kind of very feminine, again raw energy of like, well, it's mystery as well as being raw energy. It's also the unknown energy. But for me, it's also the energy, I feel, of how you feel when you lose something, like particularly like a child. It's like that revengeful, angry energy of a mother that has had her child taken away from her, or has had it or she's lost it in birth, or it has died a natural death, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to feel that same anger. And that's kind of where this energy is coming from, I feel. It's that kind of like really primordial raw anger that is going to be expressed due to things that are yet to be fully seen or understood, things that are yet to come out. But that Black Moon Lilith energy has been there for quite some time now, and it's getting stronger. And at this time it is playing quite a major part within this energy today as well. So the moon is in the sign of her divine counterpart, that Leo energy, courage, strength. But she's also in that opposition with Saturn, who is in the sign of the higher consciousness, awareness, and the collective, as well as the future and new ideas being formed. So Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, is that energy of the future. It's not actually happened yet. It's the unexpected. It's what's coming next. What is, you know, the new ideas. It's initiation. Yeah, okay, initiation and what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, initiation of new ideas, of things that have not been experienced before. And they are both, again, part of this mystical rectangle, and emotionally we are likely to feel a pull towards being heroic because of this Leo energy, this heroic energy, and wanting to stand strong in what we are feeling, and yet also feeling restricted by those years of oppression and conditioning and restraining and kind of limited establishment, which is now like part of the past. It's like part of the old paradigm, but as I was saying, you know, we hold on to these things because it's safety, it's a security, we know it. It's that fear of the unknown coming in as well, which is another Black Moon Lilith energy as well. The unknown, going into the unknown, diving deep into the unknown. Most people don't want to go there. Most people want to stay safe in their comfort zone rather than stepping outside of that. But in many ways we're being pushed into that kind of unknown, because that's where the excitement, for want of a better word, that's where the new, the unformed exists. So as the moon is the head of this kite as well, we are going to feel a strong outpouring of energy, as ultimately the moon's energy, which represents our deeper subconscious, will be triumphant in this backwards and forward struggle, as she is strongly supported from both sides with the need to communicate and express, as well as release the old story of what has brought us to the now, as it involves the karmic destination we are moving towards of the North Node in Gemini, a part of this grand air trine we have been experiencing on and off since the 3rd week of August. So this has been a major part for the last month. And interestingly, the energy has kind of shifted and changed within that grand trine, even though it stayed as a grand trine. At one point Venus was connected to this grand trine, and then Mercury took over as Venus was leaving. So so it's kind of been this on and off, but it's been there for a long time because of the because Black Moon Lilith and the North Node are both slow moving, and Saturn's retrograde and it's very slow moving, and there's been a lot of energy passing through Libra as well. So, and it will continue to be there for a while longer, this grand air trine. So the last of the 3 kite energies is being made from an opposition with the South Node. And it's very rare that the South Node gets any recognition, shall we say. It's kind of like if you look on a horoscope chart or a zodiac wheel, if the North Node is on there, the South Node will be opposite it, because that's always how it works. It works on that axis, and they always work, they go in reverse as well. They move backwards through a sign. But the South Node is never actually kind of connected to anything on that zodiac sign, unless I think perhaps you can actually put the North Node on, but the South Node tends to kind of get ignored. So I've actually had to, on my own drawings, like I've had to actually connect the South Node so that you can actually see the kite for anybody who's interested in the actual write-up, which I will attach to the video as well. So the supporting sextile there for the energies of the South Node is once again that trio in Libra, as well as Saturn on the other side as well. So again, very masculine energies that are all kind of connecting with this South Node energy. And the South Node energy is all about what we need to let go of collectively. And these are very powerful, intense energies and frequencies. And what's making this even stronger is we are seeing the same planets and points in different configurations throughout this whole thing. So they're turning up more than once, which is kind of saying, you know, these are very kind of powerful energies at this time because they're doing more than just this one thing here. The South Node is the energy of what we are collectively, karmically needing to leave behind. We have reached the end of the road with. And here we find it sitting at 04 degrees 22 minutes as the head of this kite in Sagittarius. It is connecting on both sides by a lot of masculine energy. So we've got Saturn, as I was saying, that kind of shows the stern, controlling father type energy as well, is how that comes through. Kind of like that Victorian father. I always think of Saturn as the Victorian father. Mars, our inner warrior, who, when coming from a healthy ego, fights for our sovereign rights. Mars is undergoing a major transformational healing with Chiron, the healer of our deep generational wounding, sitting in his home house of Aries for the next few years, as I said earlier. And Saturn is also undergoing an interesting upgrade at this time as he moves through the sky, trine with Makemake, the god of universal law. So they are in kind of conversation at this time as well, Saturn and Makemake. And Makemake is said to be the higher vibrational frequency of Saturn, because Saturn is the limitator, it's the last planet that we can see with the naked eye. So beyond that is beyond our physical domain. It's like our physical domain stops at Saturn, and anything beyond that is a higher frequency, a higher consciousness, a higher awareness. So that's why Saturn is said to kind of control this physical domain that we live in, which also explains why kind of the Saturnalia celebration has always been very important as well. But Makemake, like I said, is that higher vibrational frequency, which now it's been discovered is kind of coming through into our awareness and our consciousness, and it is going to become a lot more known about. All of these four dwarf planets, should I say, that were discovered will become a lot more kind of integrated into our astrology and integrated into our understanding as well, which will give them more what's the word, more kind of not responsibility, it will give them more grounding. It will make them more real in our actual life. So the ruler of Sagittarius, Jupiter, is itself in a challenging square with Venus. Although these two planets together create what is known as a soft square, as they are both benevolent and beneficial energies, and they are coming together as another sign from the universe that love, Venus, and hope, Jupiter, which are two of the most powerful sources of emotion that we as human beings have in our lives. Hope is an elusive quality. It is a belief that something, some circumstance or event will happen at some point in the future. We can put a lot of energy into the idea of hope, that things will improve, things will get better, but we also need the faith that the universe is working in our best interest. Even at times like now, it may appear not to be doing so. Especially for the collective at this time as well. So faith is another elusive quality which can also be seen as being under Jupiter's domain as Sagittarius, and the 9th house are the ruler of faith through the established idea of religion. So Sagittarius kind of rules over things like philosophy and religion, and the more kind of like, I call them more the kind of cerebral level of faith in many ways. But if we're looking for the kind of faith that includes knowing something on a deep intuitive rather than that cerebral level, then we look towards Neptune. This is the higher level of love, deeper compassion, and empathic emotional intelligence for the suffering of our fellow human beings. And it just so happens that Neptune is trine with Venus during the time of this remarkable event in the sky. So Venus at 23 degrees 30 minutes in the sign of Scorpio is herself sextile to its ruler Pluto at 24 degrees 19 minutes in Capricorn, and is just 1 degree away from being exact. Which means that this is a powerful, emphasized energy. Venus, one of our personal inner planets, is in the sign of transformational, evolutionary, life and death situations of Pluto. And Pluto is also the planet of power and where that power lies, which at this time is in a state of flux and confusion, as Pluto is also sextile to Neptune, which also covers things like deception and lies. And so the craving for power's sake is kind of being seen more and more. It's like the established ruling hierarchy are being seen for who they are and what it is that they want from us, the people kind of energy. And this is, I feel, due very much to this kind of Neptunian type of vow, this kind of mystery, because Neptune is all about mystery as well. And there's a lot of that around at this time, with this Black Moon Lilith energy as well. Neptune is also about this mystery, this kind of unknown realm. But this veil is getting kind of thinner and thinner as this great awakening continues to take place. And this is also down to the Uranus energy as well. And of course Uranus is in that square with the moon as well at this time. So emotionally we are being challenged. Again, as I was saying, we're being challenged to kind of look at our values. Why do we value it? For what reason do we value something? You know, why is it important to us? Why do we value this more over this? It's kind of like, you know, really asking us to not only take a look at it, but also to kind of change, because Uranus is change. It is about kind of seeing things from a higher vantage point and understanding things from a higher level, rather than just seeing or understanding something from that more lower based kind of wanting something level, if you understand what I mean. Like the value of something, we want it, we value it, we want it, but why? So that's really what's going on with the with that Venus energy as well. But this Neptune energy, which is also connected to that Venus energy, is really another energy that is making us question our value system and seeing it from a higher vantage. What is it that really matters to us at the end of the day? So this trio are creating an interesting triangle of their own, with Pluto being the head point of release, which is implying it is up to us to remove that power structure by no longer giving it our energy, by refusing to acknowledge the man-made rules that have been put there for control and use of our energies, for the benefit of funding an elite lifestyle. Pluto is also very interestingly in an exact square with a now retrograde Mercury at 24 degrees 19 minutes. So that was another exact energy that was taking place during this time as well. So it really has been quite powerful day to day. So this is speaking, like Mercury is all about speaking, communicating, verbalizing, writing letters, emails, texts, or any other form of communication to these power systems. It's kind of like saying, you know, we need to voice how we're feeling. We need to voice and express to these so-called kind of power structures, if you like, what it is that we are feeling here. And Mercury at this time being retrograde is also going back over where we have just been. And in Libra, he's reminding us to speak up and speak out about the injustices, the unfairness, the imbalance, the two-tiered justice system, the rules that apply to us but not to them, especially as he is also conjunct Haumea, the Hawaiian volcanic creation and fertility goddess, who is one of the newly discovered, again, dwarf planets, discovered around about 2004, 2005, that is bringing in a higher vibrational energy. So it's interesting because at one end of Libra we've got Makemake, which is that high universal law energy, the kind of higher vibrational masculine energy in many ways. And then we've got Haumea, the goddess of creation and fertility, at the other end of Libra. And Libra, of course, is all about balance. It's all about justice and fairness, integrity, peace, all those things that at this time we do not see much of in our societies, in our society in general. It's just kind of everything is out of balance. But this Haumea energy as well is here to help rebirth our planet as we transition into the Aquarian, more enlightened age. Pluto is also saying to Mercury here that the old narrative has reached a final ending, that new voices will be heard, that our established media is going through a huge need for transformation of honesty and integrity, or it will die a death. Interestingly, Haumea was known for being a goddess who was able to recreate herself like a phoenix. She could, when she reached old age, rebirth into a younger form of a goddess. Something else I find interesting here is the actual kind of uptick in volcanic activity that has been taking place, especially over the last kind of 15 years or so. And if you look around the planet at this time, you will see that the kind of ring of fire is like literally all the volcanoes are showing forms in one way or another of activity. There is so much activity. I think there's something like 46, 47 planets. There could be more than that, not planets, so volcanoes on the planet, possibly even more than that, that are all erupting at this time as well. So this mystical rectangle is a symbolic reminder of the true potential and hidden talents of the human race, which I believe we are yet to experience. It is letting us know that there is so much more to us waiting to be revealed and unwrapped, which I believe for many is coming through, whether we are aware of it or not, as downloads of a new vibrational frequency that is awakening latent information that has been held within us, genetically waiting for us to remember who we are. And I'm being told that this is to do with the Akashic records, and particularly for those who have worked on themselves over the last few years, clearing out the old energies and storylines. Pardon me, sorry about that. Clearing out in order to make way for the new. This will be a time over the coming years when we will reconnect with our true purpose of why we have incarnated on this planet at this particular time of our own story. And we can help shift the energies out of the old paradigm and into the new by holding the intent of love, light and life. So that's where I'm going to finish that particular, I just felt that it was an important thing that is taking place at this time. It kind of feels for me like that tipping point. It's like the shift is occurring, and as I was writing it, particularly the last bit that I was being told about the Akashic records was also when I was told that this is the inversion of the pyramid that is happening. It's almost like it's going to happen very quickly. And I think with Uranus and Saturn, who are about to reconnect again in October, I think it's around either about the 17th, 18th, 19th of October, not exactly 100% certain of the date, but I know it's round about that time that Saturn and Uranus are going to start their square again, and that I feel is really going to be another major point of this changing energy, as it's going to be the last kind of challenging square between these two, even though it's going to last through into 1922. It is actually going to be the last exact square that we're going to get from these two energies as well, which is the old paradigm of Saturn and the new paradigm of Uranus kind of clashing, one wanting to keep it one way, the other saying no, it's time to change this, it's time to bring in this new energy. So that's what I have for the collective today. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Please, if you have, could you thumbs it up for me, give me a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed already, and hit that bell as well, please, so that you can get the videos as and when I put them out. I would normally do all these full moon and new moons, although last full moon I didn't do an actual tarot reading. I did the astrology, but I had lots of other things happening in my life, so it got to a point where I kind of thought, no, I'm just going to have to leave that and move on and do something for what's coming in instead. And then I kind of got caught up in this as well, so I'm going to finish it there again and say thank you very much for watching, and please take really good care of yourselves at this time, and take care of anybody else around you who you can, and I hope that this mystical rectangle and these three kites are going to bring you an amazing surprise for whatever it is that you are needing in your life at this time. Take care and hopefully see you again soon.